After the signing of the Oslo Accords, PLO chairman Yasser Arafat returned from Tunisia to Gaza, where he established the Palestinian Interim Self-Government Authority. The Israel Defense Forces withdrew from Gaza and Jericho, and Palestinian police forces assumed control over the newly autonomous areas. Under the agreement, the Palestinian Authority was granted limited administrative, legislative, and judicial powers. It could raise the Palestinian flag, issue passports, currency, and postage stamps, and operate its own radio broadcasts. Following the Israel-PLO agreement, it became natural to address relations between Israel and Jordan. In reality, the two countries had maintained a quiet, de facto coexistence for many years, with secret contacts regularly occurring between their leaders. The Oslo breakthrough shattered the long-standing taboo in the Arab world against signing separate agreements with Israel. This created an opportunity for King Hussein of Jordan to pursue full normalization with Israel. The United States strongly encouraged this reconciliation, promising to cancel Jordan's $700 million debt and provide additional assistance if peace was achieved. When Israeli-Palestinian negotiations stalled in 1994, Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin believed that reaching peace with Jordan would strengthen his government and ease pressure from the domestic opposition. He accelerated the process. In June, Israeli and Jordanian representatives held formal talks near the Araba region. In July, Foreign Minister Shimon Peres publicly visited Amman for the first time to meet with his Jordanian counterpart. By then, most disagreements, especially those concerning borders and water allocation, had been resolved. On July 25th, under the auspices of U.S. President Bill Clinton, Prime Minister Rabin, and King Hussein signed the Washington Declaration on the White House South Lawn. The declaration formally ended the 46-year state of war between the two countries and laid the foundation for a full peace treaty, border delineation, and cooperative use of water resources, among other areas. After the ceremony, King Hussein flew his own plane over Israeli airspace to greet the Israeli people. Rabin soon made a reciprocal visit to Jordan. Unlike the fierce domestic backlash triggered by the Israel-PLO agreement, the Israel-Jordan reconciliation was widely welcomed across Israeli society. On October 25th, the Knesset approved the peace agreement by an overwhelming vote of 105-3, with even the Likud opposition supporting it. On October 26th, Prime Minister Rabin and King Hussein signed the Israel-Jordan peace treaty in the Araba Valley along the border, formally establishing diplomatic relations and completing full normalization. This became another milestone in the Middle East peace process. Israel had now obtained recognition from a second Arab state, following Egypt. Both the Israeli-Palestinian breakthrough and the Israel-Jordan peace treaty were achieved under Rabin's leadership. Rabin's background. Born in 1922 in Mandatory Palestine, Yitzhak Rabin joined the Jewish paramilitary organization Haganah at age 15. In 1941, he became a member of the elite Palmach strike force, rising to deputy commander due to his distinguished service. After Israel's establishment, Rabin became head of operations in the IDF General Staff. In 1964, at age 42, he was appointed Chief of Staff, the highest military position. In 1967, he helped Defense Minister Moshe Dayan lead Israel during the Six-Day War, earning national acclaim. Rabin entered politics after retiring from the military, serving as Israel's ambassador to the United States, then as labor minister. In 1974, after Golda Meir resigned, Rabin became prime minister. However, after the 1977 political upheaval that brought Likud to power, he lost both the premiership and the party leadership to Shimon Peres. Rabin returned to political leadership in 1992, defeating Peres to become head of the Labor Party. Labor won the elections that June, and Rabin, at age 69, became prime minister again, also serving as defense minister. Known as a hawkish dove, Rabin had used firm measures during the First Intifada, yet he understood that soldiers win battles, while statesmen must win peace. When he returned to office, he chose dialogue over confrontation. With Peres as foreign minister, the Oslo Accord was achieved, marking a historic turning point. Many believed only Rabin had the credibility to relinquish land captured in war in exchange for peace. In 1994, Rabin, Peres, and Arafat jointly received the Nobel Peace Prize. Growing tensions and opposition. Yet decades of conflict had created deep mistrust between Israelis and Palestinians. Negotiations remained contentious, and both sides faced powerful internal opposition. In Israel, the right-wing Likud bloc opposed Oslo. But even more extreme resistance came from radical nationalist and religious groups, including settlers living in the West Bank and Gaza. On the Palestinian side, factions within the PLO, such as the PFLP and DFLP, along with Hamas in Gaza and the West Bank, rejected the peace process. Regional powers like Iraq, Iran, and Syria were also hostile to the agreement. As a result, each step toward peace was painfully difficult and often came with bloodshed. On February 25, 1994, Baruch Goldstein, a Jewish extremist from Hebron, carried out a massacre inside the Ibrahimi Mosque during Muslim prayers, killing 29 Palestinians and wounding over 100 before committing suicide. This atrocity highlighted both the depth of historical hatred and the intensity of Israeli extremist opposition to peace. Rabin's government condemned the attack, urged restraint, and sought to disarm extremist settlers while releasing Palestinian prisoners. Even so, unrest persisted for months. Meanwhile, Palestinian extremist groups escalated violence. Hamas carried out bombings, kidnappings, and suicide attacks, including the October 1994 Tel Aviv bus bombing that killed 22 and the January 1995 Netanya bus station bombing that killed 21. These attacks provided ammunition for Israeli hardliners, who claimed that autonomy for Palestinians would lead to Israel's destruction. Rabin refused to retreat. He pressed Arafat to crack down on Hamas and implemented temporary security measures, delayed withdrawals, border closures, and restrictions on Palestinian laborers entering Israel. Rabin under fire. After Oslo, the Likud party organized massive demonstrations against Rabin. Tens of thousands gathered in front of the Knesset, carrying posters depicting Rabin in a Nazi SS uniform, accusing him of being a traitor to the Jewish people. During a crucial Knesset debate, Rabin responded, "I have been a soldier and a defense minister. Believe me, the shouts of demonstrators do not shake me as much as the tears of a mother who has lost her son in battle. I have fought wars. Now I seek peace. This is our chance, perhaps our last chance. For 100 years, we have dreamed and fought on this land. War and terror have wounded us, but they have not destroyed our hope for peace." The Second Agreement and rising extremism. In September 1995, after months of difficult negotiations, Rabin and Arafat signed the interim agreement in Taba, expanding Palestinian self-rule to cover 30% of the West Bank and calling for Israeli withdrawal from major Palestinian cities. A future Palestinian state now appeared possible. This triggered a surge of outrage from Israeli extremists who denounced Rabin as a traitor and promised revenge. Supporters of peace held their own rallies, expressing hope and solidarity. Assassination of Rabin. On November 4, 1995, over 100,000 supporters of the peace process gathered at Tel Aviv's Kings of Israel Square. Rabin and Peres both addressed the crowd. Rabin concluded with a moving appeal. "I have been a soldier for 27 years. I believe we now have a great opportunity, an opportunity for peace. For the sake of those here, and for the many who are not, we must seize it. We fought you, Palestinians, for so long. But today we say in a loud and clear voice, enough." As the rally ended, Rabin walked down the steps toward his car. Suddenly, A young Jewish extremist stepped forward and fired 3 shots into Rabin's back. The prime minister collapsed, bleeding heavily. Despite efforts to save him, Rabin died in the hospital shortly after, at age 73. He became the second Middle Eastern leader, after Egypt's Anwar Sadat, to be assassinated for pursuing peace. The assassin, Yigal Amir, was a 25-year-old law student and a fanatic religious nationalist. Upon arrest, he smiled and said he had defended the Jewish people. Aftermath. The assassination shocked the world. Israel plunged into national mourning. On November 6th, Rabin was buried on Mount Herzl in Jerusalem. Over 5,000 dignitaries attended, including U.S. President Bill Clinton, Egyptian President Mubarak, Jordan's King Hussein, Russian Prime Minister Chernomyrdin, and representatives of more than 40 countries. Because of security concerns, Arafat did not attend, but visited Rabin's home 3 days later to express condolences to his widow. Rabin's death marked a tragic turning point in the Middle East peace process, one from which the region has never fully recovered.